Hey everybody, I'm Jason from Fuzzlord Effects, and you are listening to the Fuzz Life Podcast Show. Today, we're going to be talking about why today, right now, is the perfect time for you to get into playing music, no matter your age or your skill level. We're going to get started in just a moment, but if you haven't yet, I'd really appreciate if you subscribe to the podcast and maybe share it with a friend if you think they would get something out of it. So there's been a couple times recently that folks have asked me, is it too late in life for me to get into playing guitar or bass or different instruments and just wanting to get into music in general? Spoiler alert for this podcast, the answer is no. It is never too late for anyone to get into playing music, no matter their natural skill level, their background in music, their age, or any other factor. So today, I'm just going to talk about 3 different reasons why I think right now, today, is the perfect time for you to get into playing music. And it's just a very wonderful time for all of us making music to be alive right now with all of the technology and resources we have available. The first helpful thing that can really get a lot of people into playing music is something called guitar tabs. It's a numerical representation of the guitar neck where there's like 6 different lines that represent the 6 different strings, and then a number will be placed on one of those lines to tell you which fret to play on your guitar. For example, there's 6 lines, and then the bottom line will be the bottom heaviest string, and it might have the number 10 written, which would mean that you would play a note on the 10th fret. Guitar tabs have been around for quite a while, but when I first started getting into playing guitar when I was like 13 or 14 and trying to like learn my own stuff, like bands that I wanted to learn, that wasn't just stuff that like my dad taught me, for example, I just started Googling like how to play Enter Sandman by Metallica, for example. But I just wanted to start off first by talking about what guitar tabs were for folks that are just getting into music or haven't played music in a long time. You can pretty much Google search any song that you would want to learn, and that will really give you an awesome head start and give you a means to start learning songs at your own pace. I think it's really easy for us to forget sometimes that before the internet, all of this information was not available to us. I remember talking to my dad about when he was a young teenager and learning how to play guitar himself, about how you went about doing that. And the common thing that you hear older folks talking about is that they wore out the needles on their record player or like wore out their favorite albums. So if you want to learn how to play Iron Man by Black Sabbath, you just listen to Iron Man by Black Sabbath over and over and over and over again until that you could pick the song out by ear. So I think, for one, keep in mind that we have guitar tabs at our disposal today, and while they do often have errors in them, or maybe it's like hard to pick out the rhythms from these notes of how to play the songs, it's important to keep in mind that we have a wealth of information in guitar tablature available to us every day, 24 hours a day, as long as we have internet access, for free. So we no longer have to wear out our needles on our record players to try to learn these songs. The second thing that I wanted to talk about that is something very amazing that we all have access to today as long as we have internet connection is YouTube guitar lessons. So we can pretty much type in any song that we want to learn on YouTube, whether it's like a Ramones song, or maybe it's like a Monolord song or something like High on Fire. If you're new into playing guitar, I think you should do yourself a favor and try to pick songs that are, 1, fun for you to learn, and 2, easy to play. That's why I always think of bands like the Ramones, or maybe you want to get into playing acoustic guitar so you learn Johnny Cash songs versus trying to like do what I did and start trying to learn guitar and then decide that I want to learn the solo that Dimebag Darrell played on this one Pantera song. So sometimes just having realistic expectations will keep learning guitar very fun. So the second tip, of course, is that there is free online guitar lessons on YouTube. The cool thing about them is a lot of these online lessons are just as good, if not better quality than what you would get paying $30 to $40 an hour getting private lessons from an instructor in person. It made me think of Khan Academy when I was thinking about this episode earlier. Saul Khan started Khan Academy to do like math tutoring things, and he was doing lessons for his younger nieces and nephews. And the big thing was he was wondering, well, is this really going to come across the same way online versus in person? And here's the cool deal. His nieces and nephews, since they knew him, actually preferred watching his videos better because any of the judgment they got of like, can you explain that again? You don't have that in a video. So on a guitar video, if you need to keep rewatching that one little phrase over and over and over again, your teacher's never going to get annoyed with you. So I think that's one very special thing about learning guitar via videos is someone's sitting there working with you on a song that they figured out and they're teaching you, but anytime you want to ask a question and go back and repeat a part 1 time, 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, they're never going to get frustrated with you. Just to let you know, if you're wanting to learn more about like doom metal music and stuff in that genre, then I highly recommend that you check out Steve Reese's YouTube channel called Does It Doom. Aside from doing a bunch of reviews about gear, he's even done some Fuzzlord pedals, he does lessons that are very high quality and very well produced, and I think that no matter your skill level, that you would be able to find something on his channel that you would like. So don't forget, the first thing, of course, the first tip is check out some guitar tabs and start consuming music that way. The second thing is hop on YouTube and find a channel that does the kind of music that you're interested in. Subscribe to it and just learn that way. I think it's really important when we're watching these videos to keep in mind that we're getting the same sort of lessons that we would have when we were traditionally paying $30 an hour to go to a studio or like a guitar teacher's house to get lessons from them. And you can do those at any time of day that works for you. Maybe you're a morning person and you decide that you're going to wake up an extra 15 minutes early every single day to play some guitar. Well, those YouTube guitar teachers are up and available whenever you want them to be. Or 2 a.m, same story. All right, this third and final tip for this episode is leaned a little more towards people that have already had some experience playing music. Maybe they've had some lessons. So YouTube has this really cool feature now where you can slow down the video and it does not change the pitch of the songs. Let me say that again. YouTube, you can go on there now and slow down the playback speed of what you're watching. And it does not affect the pitch of the music. You know when you take a 45 record and then you play it on 33, it sounds like really slow and everything's like down tuned. Well, YouTube has it coded in a way where they corrected that. So the cool deal is if you're someone that already has done some guitar tabs, or maybe you've taken some private lessons, or you've like followed a channel like Steve's, for example, and you've been like playing along every week, learning High on Fire songs and stuff like Wind Hand or other songs like that, and you want to go a little farther and step out on your own path of learning music, like without a teacher, for example, don't forget that you can get on YouTube and you can like analyze solos live from like some Electric Wizard show. Or you can like look at the intricacies of how Matt Pike plays a certain chord. Because it turns out when you're watching these musicians actually play live, sometimes they play things a lot differently than we expected them to. That's why a lot of the like Black Sabbath covers that you hear don't sound exactly like Tony Iommi, because he might have played the same chord in a different spot on the neck. And because he used different strings to hit that chord, for example, it has a slightly different tonality. So let's wrap up a little bit of what we talked about today, which is the first tip is you should check out some guitar tabs. I think those will be very helpful to you. And keep in mind that this is all stuff that did not always used to be around. Used to be that you just turned on Iron Man, Black Sabbath, and you listened to it until that either you figured out the song or you wore out the record. 2, get on YouTube and start learning these free lessons out there. And when you're watching these lessons, keep in mind that it used to cost $30 an hour. It still does, to have someone basically try to teach you how to play scales and maybe focus on certain types of music that you are 100% not interested in. I think it's really important when people are learning music, if they want to learn how to play country cowboy songs, let them do that. If they just want to learn how to play 3-chord punk songs, get them playing 3-chord punk songs. And because, music is about having fun. And if you want to play a certain kind of music or you have a goal in mind for what you're going to do, then you should get on that path now. The third tip, which is aimed a little more towards the advanced person, like intermediate players, is that don't forget you can go on YouTube and watch actual performances by your favorite guitar players in professional bands and slow down the playback speed and actually zoom in on these videos and see note for note how they're playing it. So I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to the Fuzz Life podcast. And if you haven't yet, be sure you subscribe to the podcast and maybe share it with a friend and leave a review. I would really appreciate it. Again, I'm Jason Johnson from Fuzzlord Effects, and you can keep up with me on a daily at the Instagram page at Fuzzlord Effects. You can head on over to fuzzlordeffects.com to check out some of the pedals, the t-shirts. We got Fuzz Life t-shirts there. We got some coffee cups and different cool Fuzz Life items for folks interested. And before we wrap it up today, I just really want everyone listening to know that while we have these big goals about what we want to do musically, it's like we're looking at the top of a mountain, right? And we see the hikers that have already made it there. And we don't really see the path that they took, all the practice and everything. Something really important about whatever it is you're pursuing in life is to learn how to be in love with the process. So don't just look at the hikers at the top of the mountain and think, oh man, I just want to get to the top of the mountain and see that view. We really need to learn how to appreciate the hike to get up there. So don't get too bogged down with the details of how you want to play solos, just like Matt Pike, for example, or Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. Maybe just one of the most special things that you can do, really make yourself happy, is just fall in love with the idea that you're working towards a goal and how cool that is and how awesome it is that we're all alive today and able to play music and learn from different lessons and online resources. So really be sure that you take that 15 minutes a day that you sit down to practice and just use that as your personal time to kind of meditate and think about things and enjoy what it is you're doing. I guarantee if you spend 15 minutes a day practicing your instrument, you will be amazed by how much progress you make in 1 month. Again, I'm Jason Johnson from Fuzzlord Effects. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.